All right, guys, welcome back. We have one more today. Pregnancy advocacy. Once again, just the outside edges of the problem, with the realization that we can always talk more about it, and always happy to field follow-up questions or whatever may be necessary. And if you guys have any feedback or you feel like we're missing anything, please feel free to share both with us and in the comments, because lots of people may be struggling and may have the same question and just not feel comfortable asking. So pregnancy advocacy. If this is the first video you're joining, advocacy is simply having the ability to ask questions and stand up for yourself and to seek resources when needed. And, we are not here to advocate for you. We are here to walk that journey with you if you would like us to, or if you need us to. Land acknowledgement. So some of you guys have watched multiple videos, and it has occurred to me that I am processing in real time every time I read this slide. So sorry if you watched, there was another physical health advocacy a moment ago. There's a good 5-minute spiel that I talk about Native American cultures. And all of that is still true, and I still stand by that. Love to talk more about this with any of you who have questions about, the Native peoples who lived here before, or the Native peoples who live here now, or, engaging in, maybe even trying to contact a tribe to share with us some of the stuff that they do. That would be really cool. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, see, real-time processing, guys. But if you have any questions, happy to answer them. All right, today's agenda: facts, showing up for Black mamas, prenatal care resources, online resources, postpartum depression resources. Facts. Oh my God, I hate this fact. Black women are 243% more likely to die from pregnancy or childbirth related causes. I know that that's true. I've seen that statistic. I am doing my very best to wrap my head around how that is even remotely possible, because I don't understand it. But I know that it happens, and it makes me just really kind of desperately sad. It's just one of the saddest things. What in the world? There are, options like doulas and some home birthing centers. I know that a lot of them don't accept insurance. But, certainly having somebody in the room, right? Having a partner, having a parent, having somebody in the room who can help make decisions with you and for you if needed. While you're pregnant, right, you have a ton of prenatal appointments, right? If you get a bad vibe off of the doctor, right, ask to switch, right? Get a second opinion, right? If you have high blood pressure and one doctor is ignoring it, go to another one, go to an emergency room. Your body, right? And I know that first-time moms, it can be really scary. And I know that, women in general tend not to be listened to by doctors, right? Because, we're emotional and whatever. But know your body, know yourself, ask hard questions, go to different doctors if you feel like you need to. If your concerns aren't being addressed, go somewhere else and get them addressed, right? You are, we can, if you want to, right, seek out, a Black doctor. I am happy to help with that if that is something you need assistance with. And I'm happy to help you research OBGYNs or other doctors that you may come into contact with, right? Happy to look it up, right? Let's see what's out there, right? All that stuff's public knowledge, right? If there have been any lawsuits or anything like that against them. Are the stats on the bottom specifically regarding Black women or just women in general?
In general.
Okay. So in general, 1 in 8 women report symptoms of depression after giving birth. Pregnancy and giving birth, and that 4th trimester, which is a ridiculous phrase because trimester means 3, but that 4th trimester after you give birth, there's so many hormonal changes, right? Your body goes through just absurd changes, and it's hard, right? It's hard to quantify, right? It's hard to talk about. And depression, after birth. I'm curious about these symptoms. I'm just curious if it's because I think all women are very there's a lot of baby blues is what I've heard it referred to a lot. Women tend to be more emotional after they have a child, right? Because their whole, every hormone in their body just dumped and changed and shifted. So I'm curious if it's the smaller symptoms or if it's stuff closer to postpartum, but definitely worth knowing. And if it's something that hangs on for a while and something that you can't shake, then it's definitely something to talk to your doctor about. About 1 in 5 women were not asked about depression during a prenatal visit. Something to keep in mind. Right. So you can absolutely experience depressive symptoms during pregnancy as well. So have that in mind. Any kind of I'm going to say long term, but if you are spending a week or two feeling really, really down and struggling and you're pregnant, like talk to your doctor about it. Like don't wait and see, right? Don't assume it's because you're pregnant. Like the pregnancy throws everything out of whack. And after you have your baby and you go in for that 2-week checkup, your doctor should be asking you what your symptoms are afterwards as well. And 50%, over half of pregnant women with depression were not treated. That makes sense if they're not talking about it. About Black Mamas Atx.
I just put that resource because
Yes.
I love Black Mamas Atx. That's Dr. Roundtree.
Yep.
Founded this, and I love her so much. She's a professor doctor up at UT. And I just want to put it out there because they do amazing work with Black Mamas.
Absolutely. And I'll leave this up here for just a second.
You can follow them on Instagram. There's like a web page.
Yeah.
And then like a phone number if you'll like need anything from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's been an amazing resource. It's only a few years old, right?
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3.
Yeah. They're doing really, really good work. So, I mean, if this is something that you need or something you are interested in, please check into it. Ask questions. There's contact information at the bottom. If you need resources from them and you're having trouble getting a hold of them, just let us know. We can certainly do what we can to try to connect you.
For sure. Just more
additional information from them. Just kind of skimming through some of this. So some of the do's and don'ts I think are important for all women who are pregnant or trying to get pregnant. And yeah, that's amazing. So definitely check this out if this is where you are in life, or if you know anybody who is pregnant or, trying to get pregnant, right? This is all information that is good for them as well. The benefits of doulas is kind of the same across the board. I can totally see how it would be more beneficial for, Black women, given some of the institutionalized racism and stuff like that in the medical field. I know a lot of women benefit from doulas and having additional support people. Childbearing, right? Childbirth can be very medicalized. And that can make it really, really hard, right? Especially if you're trying to go very natural and you're trying to do everything kind of a specific way. It can be hard to have that experience more medicalized, which is a very like man's world, like doctors in the medical world and all of that. Black breastfeeding is very interesting in and of itself. It's a whole process, a whole learning process. There are absolutely like lactation specialists out there as well. And there are
through WIC too. You can get lactation specialists through WIC.
Yeah. And I was going to say that there's also groups, right? There are free groups that you can go to. And I believe a lot of them are online or like just like virtual groups right now. That can you just go and you share what your struggles are. You share what your triumphs are. I will say that, I mean, I breastfed both of my kids and it was a freaking process. It was hard to learn. Because it's not just, it feels like it should be natural and it's easy to beat yourself up when it's not. And childbirth, yeah, it's a natural process, but it was also like the #1 cause of death of all women 100 years ago. Fun fact, chainsaws were created for C-sections.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know, isn't that terrifying?
Oh.
Yeah. So,
that's crazy.
So the whole process, yes, it is a natural process, and yes, it is hard. It is a natural process, and it should be easy. But once again, you know your body, you know what feels right. You know if you're having an instinct, go and get help. If the first person isn't responding, go to another one, right? Get a second opinion. And as far as breastfeeding goes, like find somebody who has done it, either lactation specialist through WIC or going to one of these groups that is specifically about that.
You can also get a pump through your insurance or through WIC too, if you need extra help with pumping.
For free.
Yeah, for free.
All that stuff is very important. I'm even happy to answer what questions I can. I will say that it's nice having support people in your life who have done it, because there will probably come a moment if you're doing it for the first time where you're just like, I'm done, I'm out. Like, this is exhausting. I can't do this anymore. And there are a variety of reasons why people don't nurse, and that is also okay. You do not have to breastfeed, right? I am firmly of the fed is best. And sometimes it just doesn't work out for some reason or another, and that is also okay. Your number one job is taking care of yourself and your new baby.
Exactly.
Prenatal care resources, community care, People's Community Clinic, Whole Women's Health of Boston. If you know people who live kind of outside of Boston who you feel like could need additional resources, let me know. I'm always happy to connect people or provide people with additional resources. Online resources. Additionally, Texas WIC, even if you don't qualify for like food stamps, you may qualify for WIC. If you don't have health insurance and you get pregnant, you qualify for Medicaid.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Like, you qualify for Medicaid, even if you don't qualify for Medicaid prior to getting pregnant. So don't skip on the prenatal care. It's super, super important, both for you and peace of mind, right? To make sure that you're doing what you can. But also so that you have an opportunity to build that relationship with the doctor that will probably be delivering your baby. Additional information for Any Baby Can, family education program contact. So Any Baby Can has a ton of programs. Some of them are simply about like preparing women who don't necessarily feel prepared to be a parent. I don't know that anybody does, but if you are a single parent or you are, coming out of a bad situation and you could use some additional support, Any Baby Can is really amazing for that. Postpartum depression. Oh, goodness. So most women get the baby blues or feel sad or empty within a few days of giving birth. For many, it goes away within 3 to 5 days. If they don't go away, or they just kind of hang on for those first 2 weeks, definitely talk to your doctor about postpartum depression. Feeling hopeless or empty after childbirth is not regular, right? That is not an expected part of being a mother. It's interesting because motherhood and childbirth is seen as so like natural, right? There is kind of this extension of, oh, well, I should feel this way. Everybody else has felt this way and has dealt with it, and they haven't. And postpartum depression can look different for different people. Some people have postpartum anxiety. There are people who will, every time they nurse their baby, will feel horrifically depressed and anxious, like immediately, like as soon as they start nursing. There are people who, once they stop nursing, will spend periods of time with depression or pretty severe anxiety. Right. So it can happen. So postpartum depression is specifically right after you have your baby, but that does not mean that you're kind of out of the hormonal driven emotional impact for quite a while after you have your kid, even though here in the US we like to think women have recovered after 4 weeks, which is not true. Postpartum depression is a serious mental illness. It is neurological in nature, so it's involving your brain. It impacts your behavior and physical health. It'll impact your ability to parent, right? And a lot of people, once they get treated, right, like look back on that time, it says, oh my gosh, like I was a terrible mom. No, you weren't. You have to care for yourself before you can care for anyone else. If you have depression, then that sad, flat, or empty feelings just won't go away, and they will interfere with your day-to-day life. You may not feel connected to your baby, as though you're not the baby's mom, that you may not love or care for the baby. And this can be mild to severe. A lot of women, or for me personally, right, like I had my kids, and like there are plenty of people out there who tell you as soon as you have a baby, you're going to hold that baby and you're going to love them. And I mean, I love my kids, but like, it took me a while, right? It took me probably 7 or 8 weeks. They started smiling at me and I was like, oh, hey, you're a real person. Hooray. Right. And I wasn't just being screamed at all the time, because that grates on you, right? That's very grating to be screamed on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And you haven't slept, right? You sleep like 2 hours a day after you have a baby.
Oh my God, no.
Right. And if you have a history of mental health like concerns anyway, like that experience alone, just the not sleeping, will trigger you, like most likely. So be aware of that. Others can also experience anxiety disorders during or after pregnancy, like absolutely. It is a time where I think women have to find great kindness for themselves, right? And just acknowledge, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm dealing with. And it is always, always, always better to put your baby in a crib, that doesn't have anything in it and walk away. Always better to do that if you are feeling angry or sad or really, really anxious, or you just need a break, right? That your baby can scream for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and give you a break, or you can make a phone call and ask for, your mom or another support person to come and help you. It's always better to put them in a safe place and walk away if that's what you need to do, than it is to hold on until you just can't anymore. Okay. Symptoms of postpartum depression: anger, anxiety, sadness, exhaustion, sleep disturbances. I mean, you're already not sleeping. It gets worse, trust me. You can go through periods of time where you just haven't slept in days. And people can experience psychotic breaks, not sleeping for days and days and days. Right. So it's interesting that all women who become mothers eventually, we're going to have to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. But definitely have your support system in place, have people in place that you trust to help you if you need.
And I just put this here because in the front office, we have these papers in Spanish and English for postpartum support resources. So if you are interested in any of these, they're by the office. Just ask. Right now it's Jason. What is it called?
Ayana.
No, what is his role?
Oh, he's the manager.
Manager. Yes. Sorry, that was just management. They will give you a copy of it.
Yes. And if you're worried, right, if you are, struggling after having a child and you're struggling with depression or anxiety or just struggling in general because parenting is exhausting and tough and hard, it is not a sign of weakness to be struggling, right? I think we all struggle. And I think the problem is that years and years later, right, it's been 20 years since you've had a kid. It's really easy to look back and go, oh yeah, no, everybody does it. It'll be fine. And you can get stuck with that messaging in your head that, you're going to hold your baby and love them and you're going to know exactly what to do because of the maternal instinct. And I don't know that that's true, right? I don't know that that's how that is. After I had my kids, my husband and I talked a lot about, I got to get to know him first, right? It's a new person in the room.
Oh my God.
Right. And it sounds a little crazy and it was very much kind of a running joke, but it kind of gave us the space to build a relationship with our tiny little baby, especially if they have colic and they're screaming all the time or anything like that. Questions, comments, concerns, all the ways to get a hold of me. And just some basic references for this presentation. Please keep in mind that, yet another area I'm happy to talk to any of you guys about as needed, and connect you with other people who may be struggling with the same stuff. I can make referrals to any baby can if needed, and, help fill out applications for WIC or Medicaid. I think just at the heart of all of this is stand up for yourself. Your body, your baby, right? After you have a baby, if they're acting differently, and believe it or not, you will. And you got to stand up for yourself and stand up for that baby. So in any way, shape, or form that we can help, let us know. And any comments, anything we missed that you feel like would be helpful for others to know, please feel free to share below. And this is our last video recording today. So we are very excited and thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time.